What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Boleros. I'm back with Gab and Maui, the usual suspects. Say hi, guys.
Hello,
Oh,
hello.
you're definitely back after two
Hiatus, a brief
absences.
hiatus. Isa lang naman ang miss ko eh, di ba? Isa lang naman.
Dalawa. Yung dalawang SEA
Dalawa ba?
Games. Oo.
SEA Games. Oo nga pala, SEA Games. Sige. So, pasensya na. But I am back. Happy to be back. And happy to be watching some UAAP basketball the past few days. We've got some rivalries the past few days. So, we're gonna talk about a certain team, no? So, we're not gonna do our usual analysis of like the recent games that we've seen, not like our usual UAAP talk, no, where we talk about the games for the previous week. Kasi alam mo, sa totoo lang, hindi pa rin siya counted, diba? This is still the preseason. These are still exhibition games. But we've seen very competitive games. Some teams have been very good. But I think this team deserves to be talked about the most. Today we're gonna talk about the hottest team. I would say from the UAAP teams, the undefeated Salle Green Archers. So 8-0 sa Phil Oil right now. Just whooped Ateneo's asses yesterday. Let's talk about them. Thoughts, feelings, Gab, questions about LaSalle?
I think any question from LaSalle has to start with KQ. Because I think he's been the most impressive player on this team by far. Let's go with Maui. What have you seen so far from KQ? Because KQ has been a beast in the offseason.
Ako very happy with what I've been seeing with Kevin Chambao. Last time we talked about him as being part of the pool for Gilas, and the problem was yung height niya is he was playing power forward and even some center, but now in the Phil Oil, he's showcasing a new part of his game. He's playing like a small forward, still has those flashy passes, those big rebounds, but he's hitting a lot of threes. I think if I heard it correctly, nung last broadcast, the game against Ateneo, he's averaging the second most 3-point made field goals in the league so far. I think yun talaga yung biggest development kay Kevin Chambao. You can see him very confident with his jump shot. Ang maganda for me is hindi lang siya yung off the pass na jump shot. Meron siyang mga 3-point shots na on the go, off the screen.
Pull-ups.
Pull-ups. So he really refined his game. I can't believe it's been like how many months since the UAP season. Kevin Chambao was not shooting that much threes nung last season. And right now, he's looking like one of the top perimeter shooters for LaSalle.
Sammy, you love KQ. You look like KQ. What have you seen from KQ?
Sana kasing galing ko din si KQ, no? Sana lang. But I'm a big fan of this guy. Sorry, medyo nawala ata ako. I miss what Maui said. But I think what I like about what I've seen so far kay KQ, other than the 3-point shooting, I think there's less. I'm not saying there's none, but there's less fancy passes na medyo mataas yung chance of turnover. I'm not saying there's none. Marami pa rin. But I love the way Topex is using KQ now. I think the way I see it, no, like sometimes nakita ko, I think with the UP game, first pasok niya, puro post up siya dun sa side, and then he would make plays from there, magkakat yung other big men, Mike Phillips, etc. It's more of like KQ just getting into certain spots and making plays from there, instead of KQ being like a point forward na siya yung magbababa, siya magbaball handle, siya gagawa ng play. I think he's much more efficient now, not just sa shooting niya, sa shot selection niya, but even with his playmaking. Sometimes he still gets too excited, but I think it comes with the high octane offense of LaSalle, because LaSalle does a lot of like fast breaks. So you have guys like Mark Nonoy, Evan Nele running down the floor. You're really going to get some of those like fast break passes na not on the spot. Lalo na kapag si KQ nandyan. So I like how controlled he is now. No? I feel like the game has slowed down for him and he's much more efficient. But definitely the one that stood out the most, obviously, is the 3-point shooting. But just overall game, I feel like it's much more mature, much more efficient for me.
I love the aggressiveness I saw from KQ. I think we highlighted this last season, diba? His biggest game of the season was against UP when he was aggressive going against Carl Tamayo. And we rarely saw that no season 85. No, he was, sometimes he would just be very passive, just pass off the post, drive and then pass. Now in the preseason, we see him looking for his shot. And I think that's the message of Coach Topex to him. No, when you're open, take it. Take those shots. Don't always look to pass because you have a shot. He always has those floaters, which again, Sam, reminds me of your game. You have those floaters too. And then,
again, sana kasing galing ko siya.
And then yung as Maui said, he's looking for those 3-point shots when he's setting the pick, when he's the pop player in that pick and pop. He will launch those threes. He's aggressive looking for his shot. And I'm just so impressed by him this offseason. I always say when I'm watching with my dad yung LaSalle game, Kevin Cambao is prime for a breakthrough season. I fully believe that. I think he's gonna be a mythical team member next year. I'm just so impressed. Ako, nasa lista siya pero natutuwa lang ako yung panoorin si Kevin Cambao. So impressed with this game. Anything else to add?
I think with the aggressiveness comes the confidence then, no? I think he's much more confident taking that 3-point shot now. Being more aggressive also. But yeah, that's a good point.
All right.
Surprising na off the bench siya, by the way.
Yeah.
Off the bench siya.
Off the bench. Actually, that's my next question to you guys. Also, one of the biggest additions to LaSalle this year is the coach, Coach Topex Robinson. Just wanted to get your observations. What have you seen so far that LaSalle is doing better, that LaSalle is doing differently now that Coach Topex is running the show in Taft? Let's go with Sam first. Sam.
I guess yun, number one, KQ going off the bench. But I think it makes sense because if you compare LaSalle versus, let's say, Ateneo, LaSalle has really great playmakers. You have Evan Nele and KQ can play make. And those, I watched the UP LaSalle game again. Galing ni Evan Nele, grabe. And the passes of KQ also. So I think it was smart, or maybe an experiment lang to for Phil Oy, but I think it's smart to sort of have KQ off the bench because he can sort of play make when Evan Nele sits down. No? So I like that combination. Yeah, I think yun. And then you mentioned this, Gab, so I'm not sure you might talk about this, but I like how he's playing David this season. I know David wasn't available last
Spoiler
season.
Spoiler isang topic natin yun later. But sige, go ahead.
Sorry. But I think he's also a very steady point guard. Looks strong also compared to, let's say, sino ba yung point guard nila?
Estacio.
Si Penny Estacio, diba? Estacio is kind of small, more offensive-minded. So, I like the balance of like David versus, let's say, a Mark Nonoy na alam mo na, shoot first guard ang play ni Mark Nonoy. So, I like how he mixes his players, but ang dami din ng magagaling na players this year na overwhelm ako, grabe.
All right, Maui.
Yeah, just to bounce off with one of Sam's points kanina, I really think LaSalle's playing very well because of its high octane offense. With Coach Derek, they were were playing slower, a lot slower than right now. More plays called out for Sean Winston to create. Evanelli has been, I don't know, he's probably averaging around 8 assists a game. Mark Nonoy
Unleashed.
I think
Evanelli has been unleashed.
this is the Evanelli of San Beda we're seeing, the one playing in a high octane offense. And I think Mark Nonoy playing the off guard is perfect. He fits in well with Evanelli as a slashing guard. They have a very good chemistry this season, this off season. You can see a lot of easy baskets by Mark Nonoy off cuts. And I think general thoughts na talaga is yung high octane offense nila. I think Coach Topex has really done a good job instilling yung confidence sa players. All of the players have a license to shoot. Kahit si Erla Abadam, I've been very impressed dun sa mid-range game niya. He's taking fall-away shots. He's taking shots off the dribble. Erla Abadam last year was just Erla Abadam slashing and driving. And I think si Mark Nonoy, on the other hand, despite having this high-octane offense, has been very controlled. He's really picking his spots. He's not forcing those long three-pointers. Long three-pointers na sobrang out of rhythm and out of the flow of the offense. And I guess my general question is LaSalle for real this time around?
They're for real.
They have Topex Robinson. They have a high-octane offense. But it's still the off-season. It's very early. But so far, LaSalle looks like a team ahead of the pack.
They look legit, Maui. They look legit.
They look legit. I think they're in another tier right now. Probably UP and NU is in tier 2.
Agreed.
But LaSalle is solely in tier 1. They really played very well. And to me, the most impressive win nila is the win against UP. Not because Ateneo, they beat Ateneo by a lot. They manhandled Ateneo. But their win against UP was very impressive because they, if you watch LaSalle in season 85, there were games that they were on a double-digit deficit, and you can see yung faces ng players, yung body language nila is not in the right state of mind. But against UP, they were down, I think, close to 15 points. And
16.
They still continued to make. They just continued to play. They just continued to play hard. They just continued to run the offense, that high-octane offense. And LaSalle's very scary. Mike Phillips is the scariest big man in the UAAP for me right now. Si Diouf will do his damage all those 40 minutes. Si Mike Phillips can do a lot of damage in like 10-minute bursts. And it's really great that you see both of them, both the top big men of LaSalle, Kevin Chambao and Mike Phillips, going off the bench and just manhandling the second unit of the other teams.
That's a privilege of having a very deep team. Anyway, Sammy,
yeah,
go.
just to add yung point ni Maui na Topex letting everyone just play. I think another point to that would be allowing Mike Phillips to take a few threes. Medyo off pa rin yung tres niya, but like hindi naman siya nagagalit or hindi siya inuupo, diba? So I think he's giving Mike Phillips the green light to try those threes out, no? So something different about Mike Phillips' game now if he develops that, diba?
Yeah, just to add also about Mike Phillips. You never saw Mike Phillips doing face-to-face basketball in season 85. Yung ngayon, before Mike Phillips was just an offensive rebounder or a drop pass scorer, but right now you see him dribbling from the half court, off break,
dribbling, spin move with a layup.
Tsaka meron din mga face up game talaga na we never saw with Mike Phillips last year. It's really great to see LaSalle developing yung players. You can see the development of Mike Phillips. You can see the development of Kevin Chambao. Huge development, not just small developments, but huge developments in their game.
All right. So, ako naman, Maui mentioned the high-octane offense, and no one really talks about their defense. Their defense is scary. They press all throughout the game. They press man to man, they trap, they play zone press, they press all game. And my point is this, combine the high octane offense with that pressing defense. This team is so well conditioned. May pa lang, sobrang well conditioned na ng team na to. May pa lang. That's crazy to me. Kudos to their players and to the coaching staff. They trained this team like crazy to have them in this condition so early in the year. I don't know if you noticed, boys. They trap. They do half court traps. They do full court traps. Sometimes they will switch it up and do a zone press, and then once they get a turnover, they're running the other way, and they just never seem to be tired. Yesterday against Ateneo, I think they just ran Ateneo off the floor in the third quarter. They were pressing, they were causing turnovers, they were launching threes at will, and to your point, Sam, about Coach Topex having the green light, they're playing loose, and it's not just Mike Phillips with the green light, no. It's their whole team has a green light to do. Everyone has. And the biggest effect, I think, for Coach Topex, and we've talked about this in the past, culture, diba? Just a culture, team chemistry thing. I was privileged enough to watch them live yesterday in the San Juan Arena. They were a good vibes team. Sobrang good vibes nila. Their bench was louder than the crowd. Honestly, their bench was siguro walang warning for improper bench decorum because they were all standing up. They were all standing up and cheer. Yeah, they were all standing up and cheering their teammates on. Or even on defense, you simple Earl Abadam moving his feet against Jason Credo in one play, and they were all up and they were cheering, they were shouting. Coach Topex is all smiles on the bench. No matter whatever mistake happens, I think Ryle Melencio shot three that went off the side of the backboard, and he was just smiling. And he was like, sige lang, just take it. I heard him say, just take it. And just sobrang good vibes ng team na to. And this was very different from last year. Last year, they sounded like they had good vibes, but when they were on the court, they didn't look like they had good vibes under Derek Pumaren. Pero ngayon, you see them, grabe, sobrang good vibes sila. And they look like they're playing for each other. They look like they like playing with each other. And I don't know if you saw this yesterday. I think when Bright Nwanko fouled out, Coach Topex was just there and he hugged him and he grabbed his head and just said, next time, we'll get him next time. And Bright Nwanko just laughing, and they're just a good vibes team. I don't know. Coach Topex has done wonders as early as May. They look so different already. I'm pretty excited. So that's the biggest impact for me for Coach Topex. We all talk about culture, their team chemistry. They look legit talaga, Mau, yung like what I said. Anything to add, boys?
Yeah, I think we keep talking about those Topex videos, no? They really started their training camp early, and I think it's paying dividends. I know, Maui, you mentioned dun sa mga exhibition games nila na dun sa videos ni Topex, I think natatalo sila diba? Sabi mo, people were saying fire Topex na.
Topex.
Pero I think this is a result of those that early training camp and those exhibition games. They look in game shape, tama ka, Gab, and they look like they've been playing for a long time. Versus like juxtaposed to an Ateneo that looks so out of sync. Parang nagbato-bato pick lang kayo, pick up game, parang tayo
tryouts,
pangalan mo,
open
Sam,
tryouts
ganyan.
pa.
Open tryouts mo ang ganun.
Wait lang, guys. That's a topic for another podcast.
Yeah,
That's a topic.
Sorry.
Leave Ateneo alone.
I'm just saying, juxtaposed to Ateneo kasi this looks like a well-oiled machine. And I think it was really good for LaSalle to have hired Topex early and get the training camp early. So I think, to your point, Gab, that culture started really early. So I agree.
Ako, another thing that I love what Topex has done, I think he's already set na this is gonna be the roster for season 86. No, as opposed to what you're seeing from Ateneo and some other schools.
Even
They're
UP, I think.
playing their core guys in every game. Maybe except for the Pinoy Liga games where they're playing more their team B. But for most of the preseason games, you see that they're playing their main guys. And I think that's a lot of chemistry being formed there. And I love what I see so far. Well, my next question, actually, Sam, inunahan mo na ako. I was gonna ask who has been a surprise for this team so far. Well, I'm gonna go first since you brought it up already. I'm going with BJ David. I think he's been for me the biggest surprise because I had no idea who he was when I first watched LaSalle game. I said, "Who is this guy? David? He wasn't on our LaSalle Recruits podcast." Then I had to look him up. Apparently, he was injured last season. He was already in the lineup, but tore his ACL. And I love his game. He's basically taken over Penny Estasio's spot. Penny Estasio is nowhere to be found now in the rotation. He's backing up Evanelli already. And I think he's played pretty well. He looks like a veteran out there, BJ David. He looks like a big point guard. His shoulders are massive. And he plays in control. He doesn't force things. He creates off the dribble. He drives when needed. He distributes when needed. He shoots decently. He hits threes. And if this is your backup point guard, he's pretty scary. I think he plays like a veteran. He plays like he's been in the UAAP for 2 or 3 seasons already. So that's my surprise for the preseason is BJ David. We weren't even talking about BJ David coming into season 86, and now I think he's a key part of the rotation. Maui, any surprises you've seen from LaSalle?
Ako talaga yung main surprise. I kept on saying kanina yung face-up game ni Mike Phillips. He's gonna be trouble. It's gonna be trouble, big trouble for every UAAP team. If he can do this against those foreign student athletes, if he can still continue to play with high energy and with this type of game, I won't be surprised if he was in the top 5 in the MVP race. Kevin Chambao and Mike Phillips will probably battle it out to be one of the top players.
And in the top 5 of every week of the highlight reel, lahat ng top 5 plays, I'm sure Mike Phillips will be there. I mean, he posterized Ateneo like thrice yesterday.
Tsaka he's like this every game. I mean, yung Mike Phillips we saw during the previous years. It was Mike Phillips very, very aggressive getting the rebound. Now it's Mike Phillips trying to dunk on your foreign student athlete or Mike Phillips dunking on Gio Chu like the other team's top big man. Tsaka hindi siya if you watch the games before, Mike Phillips had dunks for off passes, off fast breaks. Now those dunks are in traffic. It's crazy. It's crazy how this guy now has ball handling skills. Now has the confidence to shoot threes. I think credit is given to players who really play for the national team. They see a different type of ball game. They compete.
That Gilas bump, Maui. We always talk about it, diba? Players get that Gilas bump.
Any player, even players from NBA, if they play sa Team USA, when they come back, they're different players because they see a different side of basketball. They see how other top players prepare. They see how other teams have different types of offenses. And I think Mike Phillips is really primed for a big year. Both him and Kevin Chambao, they're going to be monsters next year.
I just want to comment lang, Mau. You talk about the face-up game. This was very different from how Mike Phillips was being used last year. Diba? I do remember we trashed on LaSalle for posting up Mike Phillips. He didn't have
for
a
game-winning
game.
play. For a game-winning play ata yun eh.
Yeah,
Close up si
diba?
Mike Phillips.
Baka naman meron na talaga, pero wala lang confidence last year.
Wala. He had no confidence. And I think this was a change that is pretty welcome from Coach Topex. I think they worked on Mike Phillips's face-up game. Just that, and stayed away from the post-up. Just focus on the face-up game, and that's how we're gonna play you now. And I think just what you said, Sam, they're putting more Kevin Kiambao sometimes at the post to make plays on the post, and not Mike Phillips. So that's a big difference. No, again, Kuros is given to Mike Phillips. He's really developed. He's gonna be scary. He's only in his third year in the UAP. He has 2 more. Oh, grabe.
I'm praying that he gets his Gilas eligibility.
Yep.
Parang
It's gonna be big.
Good for the
parang sila
Philippines,
Chris
no?
Newsome
Sana.
lang. I think
Oh.
if he stays here for 5 years, big chances is he will get his residency requirements. So hopefully he gets to suit up sa Gilas when his time is up with LaSalle.
Sammy, and any surprises from the preseason?
I mean, if it's someone out of nowhere, then it has to be David, I think. Very steady and solid point guard. I mean, we like Penny Estacio. I'm really surprised na hindi masyado nakakalaro si Penny Estacio now, no? But I think David has been very steady, very solid. And by the way, ako din, hindi ko siya kilala. The first time I saw him, akala ko si Gonzales of UV.
Parang ganun, yeah. Pati
Same
yung laro
build,
medyo
no?
similar.
Same hair.
Same hair, stocky, steady guard, solid defense. I like Gonzales, so David kinda reminds me of Gonzales. So if it's someone out of nowhere, it has to be David. But I think for me, KQ is my favorite. So KQ shooting this well from 3-point shot, it's still a surprise to me, and I love it. I'm so excited for to see him play in the UAAP and shoot those threes. So it still has to be KQ for me.
Bye-bye PBA.
Bye-bye
Oh,
PBA.
he's getting offers abroad. Definitely getting offers abroad.
He should go abroad.
Yeah. Anyway, our last question for this episode, guys. Of course, we're all on the LaSalle hype train. Yes, we're Athenians on the LaSalle hype train. But part of the preseason is, figuring out where to improve. So if I were to ask you guys, what's one area that you think LaSalle can improve on heading into season 86? Let's go with Sammy first. Sam.
I mentioned it already. Maybe 2 things. As a team, siguro for me, because of that high octane offense, they get a lot of turnovers. So I think for me, it's trying to limit those turnovers. But I do understand, no? Like it comes with the offense that they're running, but something that they still need to control. Like I was watching the game against UP. Parang sunod-sunod, puro fast break lang, puro bato lang, parang wala nang play, bato lang. Sobrang crazy. And then I think out of like the five fast break plays, 3 doon turnover. May parang ganun silang play na 5 straight fast break, tas 3 turnover. So I think that's something that they still need to improve on. But I think it's workable. The other thing lang for me, I guess, maybe I haven't seen a lot of LaSalle games, but I still want to see more of Raven Cortez. I really liked him last season. I'm a bit disappointed that he's not getting that much playing time. Again, like, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I haven't seen him play that much. So
Sa Ateneo, di
I
siya
sort of
ginamit.
want. No.
Sa Ateneo, di siya ginamit. Pero some games, he gets to play naman.
Nakakalaro. Okay, yun nga. Sa Ateneo, I was surprised na hindi siya pinasok kahit tambak na eh. So, I don't know. I want Topex to let him play kasi Pinoy siya na malaki. So, I feel like he needs to be developed din. Yun lang. Medyo na-disappoint ako doon.
Maui.
Yeah. I think when it comes to LaSalle, siguro it's really just developing yung solid nila na 10-man rotation. I think right now, they still have a few players coming. But if they can maintain this type of this level of basketball and others will not be able to catch up, I think they're going to dominate next season. But siguro for me yung improvement ang talaga ng other big men aside from Kevin Kiambao and Mike Phillips. Right now kasi si Nuangco sometimes looks great, sometimes still looks lost. Similar to season 85.
That's
Ben
true.
Phillips naman sometimes okay rin, steady, but sometimes parang nawawala rin. I don't know. But yeah, LaSalle has to get that third big man na steady rin. It has to be one of the three, probably Ben Phillips, Nuangco, or Raven Cortez. I think right now yun yung ginagawa ni Coach Topex eh. If you watch kasi the other games ng LaSalle, Sam, you mentioned kanina si Raven Cortez wasn't getting playing time against Ateneo and probably UP. But I watched some games naman, si Ben Phillips naman yung wala masyadong minutes and si Nuangco. So he's really mixing up yung big man, those three big men. And I think I don't know if it's really the reason why he's also bringing Mike Phillips and Kevin Kiambao off the bench, maybe to try to get the other big man in rhythm. But yeah, I think yun talaga eh. Kasi if you look at yung guard rotation ng LaSalle, if you look at yung forward rotation ng LaSalle, it's really starting to their guard rotation is starting to lock up. I think Estacio hasn't been playing that much. David has really stood out. Mark Nonoy has played controlled. Si Evan Nelly will definitely play a lot of minutes, a ton of minutes. And yung Phil-Am nila, who is coming, is probably gonna get minutes. So si Penny Estacio's really buried sa bench right now. I think they're trying to get him some playing time sa other leagues. I think the game
they
lost
are.
Sa Pinoy Liga ata si Penny Estacio played big minutes. But that was a game that Evan Nelly did not play. So it's just about finding that right balance right now for Rizal. You have probably 5 or 6 players that have solidified themselves already.
All right. Great points to the both of you. Ako, just same thing as what Sam said. I think cutting down turnovers. Again, they do a lot of pressing. And the problem when you're doing a lot of pressing is if you don't execute the press, you give up a lot of easy baskets at the other end. I think we didn't see it yesterday against Ateneo. Pero nung ibang games nila in the past, they gave up a lot of easy baskets because they weren't executing their press right. So those kinks, just gotta iron out how to switch the press. Actually, what they're doing is pretty difficult. They're switching presses in every made basket. They're showing a different defense. That's pretty difficult, and I think that's something you have to iron out. And also, Sam, you pointed out, cutting down turnovers. They turn the ball over a lot. Again, it comes with the high octane offense. Their half court offense isn't quite as polished yet. Although I do like what they're doing with Evan Nelly. They're letting Evan Nelly run the offense as a distributor, maybe first 3 quarters. Then fourth quarter, they're basically saying Evan Nelly cook. I think that's what happened yesterday against Ateneo, right? First 3 quarters, Evan Nelly just get everyone involved. Fourth quarter, take your shots. And I think when Evan Nelly saw LeBron Nieto in front of him, it's like, I'm cooking this guy every single time. I'm getting my step back threes, and he got his points in the fourth quarter. And I think that's how they're playing Evan Nelly, right? And also, just one more thing, something to work on for LaSalle. Please just stop playing Joaquin Manuel. I beg. I can't.
Wow.
Yesterday, 3 fouls in 2 minutes. And grabbing jerseys, grabbing arms, and acting like he didn't do anything when he was called for the foul. I can't with this guy. And I love the patience that Coach Topex is showing with Joaquin Manuel, but I'm glad he's playing less minutes than he was last season. Coach Topex is funneling more minutes to guys like Erla Badam, guys like CJ Austria, even Ryle Melencio gets a few minutes, but he's not really gonna play much. But yun, just stop playing Joaquin Manuel. Just stop playing Joaquin Manuel.
Hater.
I just have to say it. But anyway, that's it for my questions. LaSalle has been super impressive. That's why they're the topic of this podcast. Any closing remarks, Sam?
We'll continue to watch the Phil Oil. I know everyone's watching, but right now LaSalle's really the hottest team. Agree with Maui. LaSalle is on a different level right now. All the other teams have to catch up with this team because this team seems like they're really primed for a great year. If you listen to whatever we talked about, we listed down 3 guys that could have like amazing breakout years that could make it to the mythical 5. Evan Nele, KQ, Mike Phillips. It's going to be a good year for LaSalle. Really excited to see this team grow and compete in the UAAP. We'll talk more about the other teams in the next episode, so stay tuned. Comment your thoughts on LaSalle, what you think LaSalle will look like in the UAAP, which school we should talk about next. Don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, and please share it with your friends. We're almost there. We're almost at 700. Let's get to 1,000 subscribers before the start of the season, the UAP season. That's it for us. Thank you and goodbye.